Now the Spirit of the Lord is the one that speaks through me. Before my mother's womb, he ordained and knew me, ransomed me, and placed his words upon my tongue. Few are chosen, rest assured that I am one, an ambassador for Christ, his beloved son. And by his word, let souls be one. So welcome everyone to this listening party. Sit back and let your souls be hearty. Celebrate with me the gift that God has imparted. And what better way to get this party started than to give him the stage, because he knows where your heart is. Holy Spirit, you are welcome in this place. Give me the boldness to look upon each face and speak every word that you've given me to say. With no fear, I speak truth. I won't deviate, and I'm confident that all will go great. So let your presence saturate this place. I breathe in your spirit, I intake a river full of life, water in every dry place. As I flow to the notes that heaven navigates, let it bless every listener and free them today. Let the truth of your word draw souls to be saved. Let the comforter comfort hearts today, and let the light of your word show them the way. Every time I write, I tell his story. As I bask in the truth of his word before me, he opens up to me and shows me his glory. He gives me the strength to keep on soaring, and when I open up my mouth, for him I'm roaring. And the Spirit of the Lord goes before me, to the captive set free, that's reassuring. Over the years he strengthened my inner core, and every day I wake up just seeking him more. Am I ready for this? In my spirit I'm sure I am in Christ, and my Father I adore. He redeemed me from destruction, I am his ambassador. As the world turns and open up the door, I step in with purpose to win souls for the Lord. Every time I write, I tell a story, as I bask in the truth of his word before me. Every time I write, I tell a story, as I bask in the truth of his word before me. Every time I write, I tell a story, as I bask in the truth of his word before me. Every time I write, I tell a story, as I bask in the truth of his word before me. Every time I write, I tell the story, as I bask in the truth of his word before me.
Hey, welcome to Tom the Bomb Sports Talk, the fastest growing show in the world. It's Monday, March 24th, and this is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. If you don't think it's a great day, just try missing one. And we, LOVE, love the Word of God and sports on the Tom the Bomb Show. I'm your host, Tommy Wood, and we got another fantastic show for you today. Look, it's the big dance in full effect, baby! My favorite sports time of the year and the best sporting event in America, hands down, if you ask Tom the Bomb. We got a lot to cover. So let's get it. You know, we're living in the grace realm. That's our theme for 2025. And God is able to make all grace abound toward you, that ye always having all sufficiency in all things may abound to every good work. Hey gang, we don't have any trivia, we don't have any poll questions today, but we got a lot of stuff to cover. We talking hoops. That's right, baby. So let's get started. Let's get started off locally here in the DMV. In our tournament preview, I told you guys about University of Maryland being a dark horse team, and that freshman sensation Derek Queen had been playing like the king, okay, all year long with his old school type game. He's got an old school type game, and then of course, right on time in the big dance on the biggest stage, the king Derek Queen delivers the NCAA first buzzer beater with the ridiculous running left fadeaway off the glass on the buzzer to beat Colorado State 72-71, with Maryland trailing 71-70 with 3.6 seconds remaining in the game. Terrapins coach Kevin Willard asked his players who wanted to take the last shot. And the 6'10" freshman demanded the ball. Tom the Bomb can't say what he said, but basically said, "Give me the ball, coach," you know? And the rest is now Maryland basketball history. Coach Willard says sometimes you can draw something up for a guy that maybe doesn't want the ball in that situation. Once Queen, said that it was pretty much a simple decision. I saw his teammates perk up because Derek was so confident that he wanted the ball. Give him the ball and let him go to work. Now, for all Maryland fans out there, Tom the Bomb included, who've been following the Terrapins all year long, we knew how this game was going to end. The 12-seeded Rams, down by 68-70 with the ball. Not only did I know that the Colorado State Rams would score, but that it would be a three-pointer to end the Terps seasons. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. It's how Maryland has lost all season long on the buzzer, with their last four losses coming on the buzzer. It's how Maryland. It was like it was scripted. Okay, as Jalen Lake drilled a rainbow three-pointer over Derek Queen with 6 seconds left to give the Rams a 71-70 lead. An all too familiar feeling for the Terps and their fans. But Derek Queen said in the huddle to his teammates, for the first time, we have time left. It's our time to make our moment happen, Queen said. Queen led the fourth-seeded Terrapins with 17 points. Rodney Rice scored 16 points. Julian Reese, Angel Reese's younger brother, added 15 points and 11 boards, and he became the second University of Maryland player to have a career over 1,000 rebounds. As each of the Maryland starters, they're known as the Crab Five, all scored in double figures like they've done all season long. Colorado State defended the last play brilliantly. I mean, it was great defense, but it was simply better offense by Derek Queen. He made a ridiculously tough game-winning shot. I want to talk about Colorado State outplayed Maryland the whole game. They outplayed them the whole game. They lost the last 3.6 seconds, and that's all. Nick Clifford had 21 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. Boy, he is a good-looking basketball player. I think he's going to be a great NBA player. 21 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. And Jalen Lake scored 13 points with the big three with 6 seconds left for Colorado State. Colorado State deserved to win this game. My personal rooting interest in the tournament is always the University of Illinois first, and then of course the University of Maryland. And both of these games were very, very similar. Maryland, the higher seed, the fourth seed versus the 12th seed, Colorado State. Maryland had a tremendous height advantage over the Colorado State Rams, and they just seemed to refuse to pound the ball into the paint. I thought Maryland and Illinois were significantly outcoached in their respective games. I'm watching the whole Maryland game yelling, "Get the ball in the paint! Get the ball in the paint!" Colorado had no answers for Julian Reese and Derek Queen in the paint. Coach Kevin Willard never made the adjustment. He never made the adjustment. Colorado State coach Nico Medvedev, by the way, who's done such a great job, he just got hired as the new head basketball. This is breaking news. Nico Medvedev just got hired as the new University of Minnesota head basketball coach. He just got promoted in a day. But yeah, Nico Medvedev, he did a great job of making Maryland play their game instead of their own game. And this is the key in this whole tournament. Whoever can dictate their will upon their other team, that's what's going to win. If you check the history of the tournament, the team that does this the best cuts down the nets. Hey, that kind of rhymes. The team that does this the best cuts down the. He's a poet and don't know it. Look, real quick, a quick history. In 1985, Villanova overcame Goliath Georgetown with Patrick Ewing. Remember when Illinois was a number 1 seed and they unexplainably lost to Loyola Chicago in 2021? Villanova dictated the pace of the game and played the perfect game, shooting 85% from the field, as did Loyola Chicago. They did the same thing against the Fighting Illini. We're not ready to go to that. Okay, that's fine. Fighting Illini in 2020. It's exactly what Colorado State. It's exactly what Colorado State did to the Maryland Terrapins yesterday. They out hustled them. They won all the 50-50 balls, and they out rebounded the Terps on offense and the defensive boards. And how is that possible for the bigger, stronger Terrapins? Maryland got very, very lucky yesterday and should be out of the tournament. They should be out of the dance. But they have taken their lumps on the other side of the buzzer beaters. So they were due to finally, like King Derek Queen said, it's our time to make our moment. Every year in their respective games and tournaments, a team wins a game that they should have lost. Like Jim Valvano's North Carolina State team. They had a couple of games they should have lost before they won the national championship. Maybe this could be the game that propels my dark horse team, and I picked them as your dark horse, through the rest of the tournament and a run to the Final Four. We will see. We will see. Next up for the Maryland Terrapins is number 1 seeded Florida. Tom the Bomb picked to cut down the Nets on Thursday, March 27th at 7:30 p.m. Now, Tom the Bomb told you guys that the Big Ten doesn't do well in the NCAA Big Dance, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But the Big Ten is sending 4 teams to the NCAA tournament Sweet 16. The SEC sent it 7. After a red-hot start going 10-0 in the early rounds, the Big Ten cooled off slightly over the weekend. But the conference will still, like I said, be well represented with Purdue, Michigan, Maryland, and Michigan State all advancing to the Sweet 16. And like I said, representing the Big Ten very, very well, with 4 teams moving to the Sweet 16. Okay, let's cover who didn't make it. Let's cover who didn't make it. My Illinois Fighting Illini. Lost to Kentucky 84 to 75, and it was horrible to watch. How often do we say on the Tom the Bomb show that coaching matters? Coach Brad Underwood did a horrible job of coaching yesterday. His team was clearly not ready to play. What was really sad, though, was that the Illinois team, I thought, was a better team than Kentucky. Tom the Bomb, Coach Underwood didn't miss any shots. Coach Underwood didn't miss no rebounds. He didn't turn the ball over. Yes, he did. In every sport, the coach's job is to make adjustments. Today, the sports media is roasting Coach Rick Pitino for benching his star player over the last 5 minutes in the game. The game was lost when he decided again to run Casper's. Let me make sure I get this right. Yakisonis out as the point guard for the Illini. Look, man, you guys know Tom the Bomb likes to teach my viewers to get you guys the inside scoop. And contrary to a lot of people's opinion and popular belief, Tom the Bomb knows basketball. Okay, a lot of you might not know that Tom the Bomb actually played college basketball, and between football and baseball and basketball was easily my worst sport. Now, I didn't say I couldn't play. I just said I was better at football and baseball player than a basketball. But if you know anything about me, all that simply means is I worked harder at basketball because it didn't come naturally to me like football and baseball did. So I became a serious student of the game, and everything that my coach told me to do, I did. And that's how I ended up playing. Okay, I played point guard. So as a point guard, there's certain things that a point guard must do. And this is what we're going to talk about. Here's what we're going to. Okay, there's a couple of things. Number one, the point guard runs the offense. The point guard is the QB of the offense. Okay. Number two, as a point guard, you have to be able to play great defense because you're usually guarding the opposing team's point guard, who's also the quarterback for their offense. Okay. So you need to be able to play good defense. Number three, You have to be good at free throws. You're a free throw shooter. You know, when you're the point guard, you have the ball in your hand. If you're leading at the end of the game, they're going to foul you. And we all know, right, Lori, at the end of the game, you got to be able to make those free throws. So if you're a point guard, you have to be a good free throw shooter. And then you have to be able to knock down that open jumper. And at the top of the key, whatever it is, your point guard has to be able to, he doesn't have to be a great scorer, but if he's open, he's got to knock that jumper down. Now, the most important thing, more importantly than all of everything above what I just mentioned, is the point guard must take care of the ball and not turn the ball over. Now, think about this. What if you had a quarterback that threw interceptions all the time? How long would that guy be your quarterback? How long? What if he continually made bad decisions with the football? How long would that guy be your quarterback? Think about it for a second. Now, in Illinois' first round victory, they had they had way too many turnovers, even then, from the point guard position. But Colin Boswell bailed Illinois out, taking over the point in their respective games in key stretches at the end of the game. Now, Coach Brad Underwood sends Casper Yakosonis out there again against SEC Power Kentucky, and they turned the ball over 14 times. 14 times. Now, let's get back to this. If your quarterback threw 6 interceptions in a game, would you replace him?
Absolutely.
If your quarterback threw 6 interceptions in a game, would you replace him? Well, Lori says yes. Okay, let me ask you this. What if he threw 6 interceptions in the first quarter? What if he threw 6 interceptions in the first quarter? Would you replace him? If Coach Underwood had started Kylan Boswell at the point guard position, Illinois wins this game against Kentucky. It's not like it's not even like Kentucky was playing great defense. Almost all of these turnovers were on unforced errors. Just flat out being careless with the ball, consistently making bad decisions, trying to make a difficult fancy pass when a simple chest pass or bounce pass would do. I won't even go into his defensive inadequacies. And the one thing he's supposed to be able to do, shoot the rock, he didn't do that either. It was deep in the second half before Coach Underwood finally switched Boswell to the point and took Yakionis off the ball. And at that point, Illini made a comeback. But Illinois had 8 turnovers in the first 12 minutes. Or you can say this, they had 8 interceptions in the first 12 minutes. Illinois is like, I grew up in Illinois, but now I live in the DMV. Just for you guys out there, the DMV is DC, Maryland, and Virginia. It's a tri-state area. For you guys back home, the DMV is like East St. Louis, Centerville, and Goose Hill. You know, they're all so close together. It's like almost like a tri-state area. But anyway, Illinois is like DC and Baltimore. It's full of hoopers. I can't believe the lack of athleticism that the Illinois basketball team has on its roster. No guards that can penetrate, no guards that can get to the basket, no guards that can get past people, and on the other end of the floor, slap the court and defensively get in your opponent's jockstrap. You can go to any playground in Illinois and find that guy that I just described. And with the NIL money, if you can't find him, go out and buy that guy. You know what I'm saying? What up with that, Coach Underwood? This loss clearly falls on Coach Brad Underwood. The Big Ten struggles in this tournament. They struggle for a lot of reasons, but mainly because they beat each other's brains out during the Big Ten regular season. And then when they get in the big dance, the officiating doesn't allow them to play that way. They played all year. The refs call the game much closer. The Big Ten teams usually end up getting in foul trouble. The Big Ten teams are always going to rebound. They're going to play hard defense, and they're going to bang. That's what the Big Ten does. Then a Colorado State or a Loyola of Chicago or a mid-major school will come in with great guard play and shoot the Big Ten teams out of the tournament with threes. You never find great shooters in the Big Ten. I can't remember a great shooter, a pure shooter from the Big Ten since Big Dog Glenn Robinson. Okay, uh, that we have seen that great shooter out of the Big Ten. Look, let's take a break. Let Tom and Bob catch his breath because I'm excited, and then we're going to come back. And when we come back, we're going to be talking Sweet 16 and games for you, and we're going to give you the picks and everything. Okay.
Window Nation is on the Morgan's home turf to huddle up about replacing their drafty old windows.
This free estimate is showing how easy it is to tackle the problem.
We can get any of these windows custom made.
Yes, you can get the quality and style you really want.
And at a more affordable price than they ever imagined.
Now that they've sealed the deal, they'll be saving money year-round.
We're really confident with Window Nation.
Get your free estimate today and get 60% off all windows plus no interest or payments for 24 months at getwindownation.com.
Sheltered by the Sea of Cortez, Danzante Bay is a pure and peaceful oasis, an uncrowded retreat where your options are as vast as your views. If you're seeking a vacation that defines luxury and the true relaxation, look no further than Villa del Palmar at the islands of Loreto. A splendor of true Mexican hospitality effortlessly blends with rich materials and insatiable comforts to bring guests the ideal home away from home experience. With its quiet beaches, scenic vistas, rich history, and an astounding surrounding natural habitat, you'll feel as though you've been swept off to paradise. Not to be outdone, Reese Jones has crafted TPC Danzante Bay, a brilliant, multi-themed 18-hole golf course that runs over and through valleys, arroyos, dunes, and foothills. From every angle, striking images of the islands of Loreto and the surrounding mountain range take your breath away, while the challenging yet rewarding Baja Golf Course beckons you to return for more. It is an honor and my pleasure to welcome you to the world's most beautiful sunset and so much more.
And we're back. On Thursday, March 27th, around 7 p.m. Eastern, we're kicking off with the Sweet 16. Oh, yeah, baby. Get your popcorn ready. Tom Palm getting ready to break this down for you guys, so we're going to be able to swing through this. Let's start it off with first game is going to be BYU versus Alabama at 7:09 p.m. The Alabama Crimson Tide. The Alabama Crimson Tide calling card is its potent offense. It's averaging 91 points per game, good enough for the number one among all Division I teams. Like I mentioned before, this is the 2025 version of the UNLV Running Rebels, and they are going to push the pace. They are going to put the pedal to the metal. The Cougars are going to have to slow down the pace and limit All-American guard Mark Sears to beat this team. Alabama's roster is deep, and it's essential to the running gun style of play that's going to get them to San Antonio if they get there. Now, the BYU Cougars, BYU has taken a different route to get them back to respectability by hiring NBA assistant coach Kevin Young from the Phoenix Suns. And it's working because the Cougars are back in the Sweet 16 after a 14-year absence. So it seems like better days are looking good for BYU. Freshman Igor Dimin has had an up and down season, but he's still projected as a mid-first round NBA draft pick this summer. All righty. Moving on. Our next game is my Maryland Terrapins versus the Florida Gators, baby. Oh, man, oh man, I hate this because you guys know Tom the Bomb picked Florida to win it all. And, my dark horse Maryland team, now that Illinois is out, all my chips are on the table with Maryland. And now they're coming up against Florida. And, Tom the Bomb, and I already told you Florida going to win it all. So at 7:39 p.m., Florida rolls into the West Regional as the team to beat. The Gators withstood a heavyweight fight against the two-time reigning national champion UConn Connecticut Huskies to advance to the Sweet 16. The big news thing, head coach Danny, he's all upset. He's coming off the court with profanities. That guy got issues. He's it's it's been noted that he has some mental, not to laugh at it, that he has mental health issues, but boy, he's extremely emotional and volatile. And he was upset about a call that they didn't get. When the UConn guy went to the basket and he thought he got fouled. But there's no way you can blame that loss on that. But man, how about the 12 free throws that you miss? How about that? Look, they lost by 2. They missed 12 free throws. And if you get 2 defensive rebounds at the end of the game, you win it. And you want to blame it that the refs missed a call on a guy going to the basket? Come on, man, you don't make those calls at the end of the game. But hey, it is what it is. Okay. So, like I said, they advanced to the Sweet 16. Florida starts and stops with All-American Walter Clayton Jr. I told you about this guy. He is arguably the best guard in the country, the best guard in America. Florida can overwhelm teams with its size down low and has the perfect blend of depth and star power to make a deep run. And like I said, cut down the nets. They just don't have many weaknesses. They don't. They just don't. They're as solid as any team in any team in there. Alrighty, our next game is not next game. Okay, no, I forgot. Got to talk about Maryland, right? I'm sorry, Lori. The Maryland Terrapins has one of the most talented starting lineups in the country. Like I told you, this is Tom the Bomb's dark horse team. Okay, starting with freshman sensation Derek Queen. He's a projected first-round NBA pick in the upcoming 2025 draft. Fellow front court mate Julian Reese makes for a dynamic duo down low to match Florida's size. Reese is a legitimate double-double machine, and Maryland's guard play will determine who wins this game. Jacoby Gillespie, he's averaging 15 points a game. Rodney Rice is averaging 14 points a game, and Selton Miguel is averaging 12 points a game. They call them the Crab Five, and all scoring in double figures. If they play like they did against Colorado State, they're done. They're going home. Okay. Can they slow down Walter Clayton Jr.? I don't think so. I'm like I said, I'm taking Florida, but of course I'm going to be rooting for the Maryland Terrapins. And my brother Steve always says, whatever Tom the Bomb picked, you go the opposite way and you're gonna make a lot of money. That's what Steve says. But you guys learned about Steve during the concussion session, right? We gonna do. Anyway, let's move on to our next game now. Now we got the Arizona Wildcats versus Dr. Lawrence Duke Blue Devils. That game is coming up. I need you to stop it for me. Yeah, that game is coming up. Okay, you go. Okay, that game is coming up later on. Dr. Lawrence Blue Devils. Duke is the tallest team in Division I basketball, average height. Headlined by its usual McDonald's All-American hand-picked team, headlined by a pair of future NBA lottery picks in Cooper Flagg and Kaham Maluk. Duke has a veteran backcourt in Simon James and Tyrese Proctor that give opposing teams double trouble on defense. I've been so impressed, Lori, by the Blue Devils defense. I mean, they are stout defensively. And as usual, they can definitely shoot the three. They have the right blend of experience, talent, and youth, making them a popular pick to cut down the nets in next month's San Antonio. Listen, last week when Lori tried to press me on who was going to win my Final Four, I really couldn't tell you, but I'm pretty confident that Florida will be there, and I'm pretty confident that Duke will be there. And man, Duke seems to be getting better and better and better. Okay, let's go to our next game, Lori. Oh, I'm sorry. Got to talk about Arizona. Duh. Thanks. Why do I keep trying to diss the other team? You know why? Because let me keep it 100 with you. Arizona got no chance. Look, you can't play these games on paper. You have to play them on the court. Arizona got no chance. The Arizona Wildcats defense, they got to find a way to create second chance points on the glass to be able to pull off an upset against Duke. They'll have to play over their heads to beat Lori's Duke Blue Devils team. And as that great poet Forrest Gump always says, and that's all I'm going to say about that. I just really ain't got nothing else to say about that, man. They, look, this is the lock of the week. Duke over, you can go ahead. Duke over Arizona. That's the lock of the week. Okay. Our next game is Arkansas versus Arkansas is the number 10 seed versus the number 3 seed Texas Tech. That game's going to be at 10:09 p.m. Coach Grant McCaslin has built this team through the transfer portal and NIL money. 7 of their 8 players are transfers. JT Toppin, this year's Big 12 Player of the Year, was a coveted commodity in the transfer portal. After a standout freshman season at New Mexico, he has blossomed into a legitimate NBA draft prospect. Tech's offense is one of the best overall offenses in the nation. Their shooting percentages are good in all areas. They shoot the threes. They score down low. They have a good free throw percentage team. They're solid. Now, the Arkansas Razorbacks became the second team in the last 20 years to reach the Sweet 16. Check this out. After starting 0-5 in conference play. They were 0-5 under Coach John Calipari's first year. They have been up and down, but they seem to be clicking and gelling at the right time. You just got to be playing your right ball at the right time. No matter what it is, you just got to be playing at the right time. Defensively, they're tough. They have the best shot blocking team in the country with size and length in the front court. This team is freshman and transfer heavy, with all of Coach Cal's recruits following him from Kentucky to Arkansas. So that's our Sweet 16 games on Thursdays. Let's get ready to move on to Friday and our Friday set of games. All righty. On Friday, March 28th, starting around 7 p.m., the first game kicks off with Ole Miss versus the University of Michigan. And that game's supposed to tip off at 7:09 p.m., I believe. Tom Izzo has the Spartans in the Sweet 16 for the 16th time. For the 16th time in his era at Michigan State. As usual, they play great defense and they rebound the basketball. That's what they do at Michigan State. That's what Tom Izzo teams do. They play great defense and they rebound the basketball. Now, one of the things that they're the best also in the nation is they're the best. They defend the three-point line better than anyone in the country. And basketball, Steph Curry has changed basketball with the three-pointers. And to be able to be a great defensive team behind the arc, that's a really, really good trait and key to have. And Michigan State, they're the best in the country at guarding the three-point line. Like I said, and like I said, it's key in basketball today. But unfortunately, it's also Michigan State's Achilles heel because it doesn't shoot the three-pointer well. They shoot at just a 31.5% clip. Okay. Now, Coach Chris Beard has now won in the NCAA tournament with 4 different teams, beating Blue Blood North Carolina in round 1. He got Ole Miss to the Sweet 16 for the first time in 24 years. After beating Iowa State on Sunday, the Rebels have never been to the Elite Eight, and the key will be taking care of the basketball. And Ole Miss have been doing a great job at 13%. That's the lowest of any turnover rate in the country. What that means is that tells you that they're well coached, unlike the Illinois Fighting Illini. All right, let's get to our next one, Lori. Okay, our next game is the Kentucky Wildcats versus the Tennessee Volunteers. That game's going to kick off Friday at 7:39 p.m. Now, Tennessee, like Houston, will be bringing the defense. They probably have the best tandem defensive guards in the nation in Zakai Ziegler and Jamal Mashak. Transfer guard Chaz Lanier is a prolific scorer. And like Maryland, they're very dependent on their starting five. Having lost twice to Kentucky, they're gonna have payback on their mind. Now, the blue blood Kentucky Wildcats in 1 year AC, that's life after Calipari. Mark Pope has been successful, the new coach. Surprisingly, Kentucky hasn't been to the Sweet 16 since 2019. And they look poised to be able to build off his first year success for years to come. The Wildcats have been riding their hot shooting from the three-point arc from Bray, who basically shot Illinois out yesterday, and Lamont Butler, who was banged up early in the year. He's anchoring the defense along with Williams' athleticism. They're going to have the difficult task of trying to beat a good conference team 3 times in 1 year. That's hard to do. That's really hard to do. That's what happened to Georgetown in 1985. They beat Villanova twice, and then the third time they met them in a national championship game, and we all know what happened at the Villanova played the perfect game, shot 85%. It was unbelievable. And then the same thing happened to the University of Illinois in 1989 against the Michigan Wolverines. Illinois in 1989 was Illinois' best basketball team ever. That team was loaded. Bobby Knight said over and over and over again, Illinois is the best team I've seen in 20 years. They were absolutely loaded. They beat Michigan twice. They faced them right before the Final Four for the third time, and Michigan beat them. It's hard to beat that conference for 3 times. So that's what Tennessee and Kentucky. That's what Kentucky's trying to do. They're trying to beat Tennessee for the third time, and that's going to be very, very difficult. All right, let's move on to the next one. Our next game is going to be, we're talking about those same Michigan Wolverines versus Charles Barkley Auburn Tigers. The Auburn Tigers. That game's going to kick off at 9:30 p.m. on Friday. The Auburn Tigers hit a wall after cruising through the regular season unscathed, dropping 3 of their final 4 games. No team that has won a national championship has lost 3 of their last 4 games going into the tournament. No team. And Creighton took them to the mat before advancing, to the next round. But Johnny Broome, the National Player of the Year candidate, he's the big man on campus, and he headlines one of the most efficient offenses in the country. They'll need to take care of the ball and not pull an Illinois with an Illinois effort and turn the ball over. If they do that, they should be okay. Now, the Michigan Wolverines. The Wolverines is the only team in Division I starting 2 7-footers in Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden. And they play that 2-man game better than any pair in the country. They should offer an incredible matchup against Auburn talented bigs. Michigan's 3-point shooting will be key. If they're going to get past Auburn, the Wolverines going to have to do a good job of the Wolverines do a good job of winning close games, which is always key in the big tournament. They have good enough guard play to compete with Auburn, and Coach Dusty May has done an awesome job, and I think he's easily the Big Ten Coach of the Year. Dusty May has done a phenomenal job, and he's been out coaching teams down the stretch. All right, let's go to our next game, Lori. All right, our next game is the Purdue Boilermakers versus the Houston Cougars. That game's going to be at 10:09 p.m. on Friday evening. The Houston Cougars are like real estate. Location, location, location. The Cougars are defense, defense, and defense. You guessed it. It's the heartbeat and the soul of Kelvin Sampson's teams. They always hang their hat on their defense. But unlike the past, this year, the offense seems to be on par with the defense, the defensive juggernaut that they are. They're shooting 40% from three-point line, shooting, and that's a tremendous improvement from the back. Shockingly, the Cougars played one of the slowest paces in Division One. It's time for Houston to take the next step. After their multiple disappointments in the past, it's time for them to take the next step. They got to get off the pot and they got to do something. The Purdue Boilermakers, Purdue is back after losing the national championship game last year to UConn. All-American point guard Braden Smith is dishing out 9 assists per game. And after losing Player of the Year, Zach Edney, who's now in the NBA, Trey Kaufman-Wren has been a big surprise and has improved greatly, going from averaging 6 points a game to 20 points per game. That's a huge improvement. They shoot 38% from the three-point line, and they are always well coached. It's one of the things that I always like about the Purdue Boilermakers. They're always a very well coached team. Alrighty, that's our Sweet 16 update, and now we're getting ready to move into our next session. Hey guys, I got a question. Are you guys aware? Are you guys aware that collegiate athletes are being harassed and even threatened by gamblers and bettors who are betting on them? And because they're not, if the college student athlete didn't perform well, the people who bet on them are actually coming after these college athletes. That's absolutely ridiculous. Lori, you got to come on in here. This is your wheelhouse now.
Okay. So, as you highlighted, the NCAA has started to realize what a major issue this is becoming for student athletes. And they have a Draw the Line campaign. They specifically have released a video in the last week called Don't Be a Loser, to draw the line, because the NCAA had a study done in October that really looked at just social media and the sources of harassment of student athletes. And it specifically saw that there is clearly harassment of student athletes online for losing games.
Wow.
Okay.
That's unbelievable.
And so just to provide some context for sports betting, I don't know if people have noticed this, and I have been more of a sports watcher since I've been married to my incredible husband. But one of the things that you now see on all the sports talk shows are experts who come on and they talk about the gambling lines, the gambling odds. They're there to comment. And what's the context for all of this? Well, basically, the Supreme Court struck down let me get the name right so that I can not misquote. They struck down in 2018 the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act. I think that's key because the name of the act was the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act. There must have been a reason why I haven't had a chance to research the original forming of this bill, but they called it the Sports Protection Act. And the reason for putting the legislation in place originally must have been that people understood that, hey, professional and amateur athletes needed protection from people who might have the potential to lose a lot of money on gambling. Since the repeal of that act, as of late 2024, gambling through legal sports betting is permitted in 38 out of the 50 states in the United States of America. And those 38 states are where approximately currently 70% of the US population lives. So a lot of people can bet on sports, and a lot of people are betting on sports. So the next question is I wanted to ask you, How much? Well, let's just do a you and me quiz. How many March Madness brackets were submitted for the 2025 March Madness tournament before cutoff last week and before the game started? How many brackets do you think were submitted through DraftKings, BetMGM, all of the official legal betting outlets? How many brackets do you think rolled in?
Well, I know it's multiple millions. Maybe close to a billion, but maybe
Close
yeah.
to a million? Only a million?
No. I said multiple millions.
Multiple millions. That's right.
Maybe a billion. Maybe multiple millions for sure.
Multiple millions. And these are statistics related to the American Gaming Association, which is basically the industry lobby. But there were, in the United States, for United States-based organizations, 34 million plus brackets for March Madness. Okay. For the field of 64. The US population, based on the last census, is approximately 330 million people, which means that 10% of the US population bet or came up with a bracket. March Madness. And
but not Tom the Bomb. Tom the Bomb didn't have a one.
but not Tom the Bomb. And the important thing about this is that this is a lower estimate because this only includes the legal betting outlets. It's not talking about office pools or pools among coworkers or other social groups or the buddies you play pool with or you bowl with or you golf with,
betting at Top Golf.
all the betting that goes on. So at a minimum, there were 34 million brackets. Okay.
All right.
Now, next question. What do you think the estimates are on how much money they project has been and is going to be bet on March Madness?
Now, I'm confident in saying that's got to be in the billions. I'm confident of that.
And you're correct. It's actually $3.1 billion.
Wow.
Billion dollars is anticipated to be bet on March Madness. And so the question is $3.1 billion. Oh my goodness. There's all that money out there to win. Well, the deal is after last Thursday night, not both rounds of the first rounds having been played, just after last Thursday, by Friday morning, out of those 34 million brackets, there were only 36,000 left. You went from 34 million plus to just a little bit over 1.1% of brackets still being viable. All the other ones were bust. And then after yesterday's game, there's not a single perfect bracket left.
Wow.
Okay. And this happened at approximately 43 games. All right. It took 43 games. Sometimes, some years, it happened sooner when, a much lower seed upsets a higher seed very early in the bracket rounds.
You mean a higher seed upsets a lower seed? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a 15 beats a 2.
Right, a 15 beats a 2. I
got you.
Reversed it.
Yeah.
Somebody who's got a lower ranking beats somebody that's got a higher ranking early in the round.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that, we're not even to the Sweet 16, and there's not a single bracket among the 34 million brackets, left that has the opportunity to win.
Now, that's surprising to me this year because this year was one of the few years where the whole tournament was almost kind of chalk. And what I mean by chalk is that all of the favorites almost there hasn't been a lot of upsets. There hasn't been a whole. Tom Baum gave you guys Colorado State over Memphis State. That was the 12-5. But there
And there was
hasn't been.
also
But there hasn't been a
McNee.
whole lot of them. McNeese State, yeah, there
Yeah.
hasn't been. But there hasn't been a whole lot of upsets. And go ahead. And there's a reason for that. I'm going to tell you what the reason is. Go ahead.
Okay, so I just wanted to add that you highlighted last week that if there are going to be upsets, it's going to be 12-5. You called Colorado State over Memphis, and McNeese State also pulled off the biggest upset over Clemson. So those are both 12-5. But go ahead.
And let me tell you guys why that's happened. Now, I said this is my favorite sports time of the year, and everybody loves the big dance, the big tournament. Everybody loves the upsets. But let me tell you why this is happening, going chalk, and it's going to get worse, unfortunately, because of the transfer portal and the NIL money. Because the stars that would play at those mid majors and schools you haven't heard of, they're transferring almost immediately to the bigger schools, and we in the future we just aren't going to see a 15 beat a 2. We aren't, well, you hardly ever see a 16 beat a 1, but it has happened. It happened to Virginia. But you just aren't going to see those big upsets because of the transfer portal and the NIL money. That's why
Wow.
I'm like, how is Illinois don't have a point guard, somebody that can beat somebody off the dribble and get to the rack with all those kind of players in the state of Illinois? And like I said, even if you can't find one in the state of Illinois, you go to the transfer portal and find one. But this is pretty much going to ruin the big dance and college basketball. Think about this for a second. When Steph Curry was a sophomore, a freshman or I think he was a sophomore at the school that he went to, and they almost upset the University of Maryland. And the next year he came back and just put on a show, Steph Curry. Well, that never happens. I can't think of the college that he went to. Davidson, thank you. That Davidson came back and they had a strong run in the tournament. Well, that's not going to happen in the future, because once people find out who Steph Curry is, the next year Steph Curry is going to be playing for Kentucky. He's going to be playing for North Carolina. He's going to be playing for Duke. He's going to be playing for Michigan. So Davidson is not going to be there in the future to make those upsets and make those runs deep into the tournament. A VCU here in the area. You guys remember when VCU was the play-in team?
That's
and they
right.
went all the way to the Final Four? That's not going to happen anymore because of the NIL money and the transfer portal. And this tournament is about to start going chalk. And I'm surprised that there isn't that many perfect brackets, because, like I said, there's only been 2 or 3 really upsets so far. It's been almost all chalk. I mean, this is a year that all the 4 number 1 seeds could make it to the Final Four. They could.
But the current reality is that the gaming is big money, big business.
I bet you that's Sharon. Sharon?
No, sorry. I forgot to mute my phone.
That's okay.
But the bottom line is it's big business. And
business.
the thing that's
big business, mama?
Big business. So the estimated betting of $3.1 billion with a B, $billion on March Madness games is about 15% higher than it was last year. In 2024, it was approximately 2.7 billion. All right. And then the 3.1 billion represents it's more than double what was bet on the 2025 NFL Super Bowl. On the 2025 Super Bowl.
Okay.
And the other thing that's really of great concern is another NCAA study that came out in January of this year. They look they looked in 2016 and again in 2024. And here's the deal. They just asked student athletes whether or not they had bet on sports, which is kind of a violation of NCAA rules. And in 2016, it was 24% of male players in Division I schools said that they had bet on a NCAA event.
Mhm.
In 2024, again, the survey was published in January of this year. They were like, well, it's down a little bit. It's 22%. I don't think there's any difference between 24% and 22%. 24% of male student athletes, NCAA, as part of this 20,000 student survey, reported betting on games. And it was only 5% for the women. But what I find of concern is that it's 1 in 5
Mm.
that are betting on games. And gambling is starting earlier and earlier and earlier and earlier and earlier. And
It's going to ruin sports
I believe
if
it's
it hadn't already.
I believe it's going to ruin sports as well. And now we know that it's ruining sports, I think,
Yeah,
because
look at the NFL. You know what the Kansas City Chiefs did in that playoff game against the Houston Texans. That was unbelievable. That was unbelievable crooked.
well, and for me, I think this is the NCAA's Draw the Line campaign, and the fact that, Selection Sunday, there was a commercial about harassment of student athletes related to gambling, and the fact that they have a formal Draw the Line campaign says to me that this is a serious issue that they feel like they absolutely must take action on.
Mhm.
And hey, here we have it.
Well,
So one of the best kind of, I don't know, purist sporting events
Mhm.
that we all love, because there's nothing like the passion of those long-standing college rivalries, in-conference rivalries, harder to keep track of with everybody like jumping from here to there, and for different rivalries, the passion of students with the band and the games and everything else. I just hate to say it, that um, I think it's really going to be some challenging days ahead related to gambling.
well,
So,
look, Dr. Lauren, we both have on our red today, and I have a question for you. How
yes,
long do you think it's going to be before our president, Donald Trump, strikes down the Draw the Line program in college
I
before he gets before he before he gets rid of the Draw the Line campaign in college?
about betting. Well, the issue is the online gaming in the industry and the official legal sports bettors. Last year they had to pay out more money than they anticipated during the
That's
NFL
fascinating.
football season. That's fascinating. That's another trick. But my greatest concern is that they now have ways of parsing money to get money out of your pocket, not only on who's going to win or lose the game and by how much, but it's by quarter, it's by play, it's by offensive play, it's by defensive play. It's based on all these algorithms and stats. So there's actually no specific mention of gambling or betting in the Bible. I looked and searched through multiple versions, but I wanted to read you all Matthew 16:25 through 26. This is from the easy to read version. Any of you who try to save the life you have will lose it, but you who give up your life for me will find true life. It is worth noting for you to have the whole world if you yourself are lost. You could never pay enough to buy back your life. So it's talking about gambling and gaming with your current life on earth and your eternal life. And what is it to gain the whole world? Which people do because they think if they bet, they're going to get, boom, a lump sum of money and it's going to make a difference in their life. But oftentimes it costs them much more than they thought. So there you go.
All righty.
I'm out.
All righty. Hey, gang. That's our show. Wrap it up. Real quick, Victor Hovland won the Valspar Championship. He ended up beating Justin Thomas. Justin Thomas bogeyed 17 and 18 to end up losing by a stroke. Victor Hovland takes home the first place check of over $1.5 million. Get your kids out playing golf. And Jameis Winston has now signed with the New York Giants as their backup quarterback and possibly going to be able to compete for the starting job if he's able to actually beat out whoever they end up being. So that's some sports breaking news updates. Jameis Winston signs with the New York Giants, and Victor Hovland wins the Valspar Championship. Hey, gang, like I said, that's our show. Don't forget to like us and subscribe on YouTube. And do me a favor and hit that bell, hit that ding bell for me. And look, don't forget to check out our website at www.tomthebombsports.com. And you can also email us at info@tomthebombsports.com. Hey, for a dynamic, in-depth sports analysis and highlights for sports in the DMV and more, check out the Washington Sports Den on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern on WBGR with my main man, Mr. Felix Bassie. His future's so bright, he gotta wear shades. Hey, man. Listen, man, time flies when you're having fun. We're out of time here, but we sure do thank you for spending your time with us. We don't take that for granted. We really do thank you. We really do appreciate your support, okay? Listen, may the gates of heaven open and pour an abundance of blessings down on you where there won't be room enough for you to even receive it. Amen? Right. As you live off the overflow and you step into the realm of grace. We're going to get this grace thing. If you guys haven't been missing the grace devotionals, you're missing it. Go to YouTube and check them out. Listen, remember, if you want it, you got to confess it with your mouth and believe it in your heart that Jesus died on the cross and that he rose on the third day, not a Thursday, right, Lori?
Right.
Just for you. Remember, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. And hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. God bless you. We'll see you guys on the same bat time, on the same bat station. You guys have a blessed week. We thank you again. You guys have a good evening. Tom the Bomb and Lori out.
This is your time, and you gon' shine, and you gon' shine, daughter of mine. This is your time, and you gon' shine, and you gon' shine.
Well, I'm coming out with a word in my mouth, filled with excitement to say what it's all about. For a long time, I've held this water in, let the floodgates open, let the miracles begin. I've prayed, and I've gone back 7 times, look again, cause the miracles are mine, stir the water. I'm about to step in like the pool of Bethesda, let the healing begin.
Daughter of mine, this is your time, and you gon' shine, and you gon' shine. Daughter of mine, this is your time, and you gon' shine, and you gon' shine.
It took a minute to get my composure right. For years it seems like I've been fighting for my life. Confusing times when my days resemble nights. But now this eagle is about to take flight and soar out of darkness to his revelation light. Though the waves are rough, I step out my comfort zone to walk on water, cause I know I'm not alone. God's got my back and reminds me I'm his own. His words are sweet in my mouth, they taste like a honeycomb. And faith has opened up my eyes. I've been through the fire, tested and tried. As I study God's word, I finally realize that my purpose I have to visualize, to bring the unseen from the realm of under night until I walk into the fullness of a purpose-filled life. Cause I'm light. Yes, I am light, and I shine bright. I am an investment of the Lord Jesus Christ. Not only am I light, I am salt. When I enter in, I add flavor to it all. I bring truth, there's no dispute. Jesus is the vine, and in him I take root. I am the head, and not the tail. I'm an overcomer made free to prevail. A new design, a special kind. Ambassador followed by wonders and signs. I am light, and I give sight, leading lost souls to a glorious light. I am light.
Daughter of mine, this is